Welcome to Biggest Geek Ass. We are your hosts. I'm Randy.
And I'm Joe.
This is episode 177 of our show, and the date is Tuesday, February 6th, 2024. What's up,
All
man?
right. Well, hello, everybody out there. We are somewhat lucky to even have a show today. My the internet didn't take a crap, but my wireless router did.
Boo. Bad router.
Very boo. I don't run my PC that does this wirelessly, but it doesn't get an internet signal from my it's not a router. The other thing, the modem, the wireless, the modem, the cable modem.
Yep.
That supplies the internet.
Right.
Yeah, the wireless router doesn't pick up internet from it for some reason. So I got to get a new one. And it only lasted 2 years. No good.
That sucks. Technology blows sometimes.
Yeah, thank you, El. I still had to do some finagling with the audio after all of that too. So, gotta love technology.
Little shout out to my boy, the Ultra American. I got your money. Tomorrow I'll be sending out your module. Mac Thompson said he got it. He read it a little bit, so I think he's liking it. Who else is in the house? I know L is. Larry Elliott Martinson. Hungar stopped in to say hello.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. That's cool. Good news, huh?
Oh, Martinson, who'd you have to kill to get to come to Cabin Con?
He can't tell you. He'd have to kill you.
Oh. Don't say it on the internet.
Yes, don't say it on the internet. Sage Master made a comment, and I don't know if they're still around. I hope they are. Patrick Demo and Mac in the house. Shaking Bacons. Glad to see you guys. We've got a good topic to talk about today, and some other crap in the chatter pre-topic
Pre-show chat
discussion. Yeah. So I didn't get to game like I thought I was going to last week. Oh, yeah. Dude,
that's
Max,
at least two people that I've seen mention that.
So already got really rooms. Cool. I better
already have rooms.
Keep them coming, baby. We love it. It helps us out if people get rooms. So I didn't get to game. Look at that. This coming September? We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Stay healthy, dude.
Yeah. Did we listen to? I listened to it. The new Nerd Cognito episode today. Did we listen to it? Ultra American says so. All right,
no.
man.
No,
yeah,
I was busy at work, and you don't count. And when I got home, I was busy trying to be able to be on the internet for tonight's show.
I was at work too, but I apparently have time.
You don't work.
Work is a strong word for what I do.
Yes.
It's more like I was given tests. I had a week of tests this week. It's been frustrating. I had to bring tests home both nights and probably spent 20 minutes to finish up grading. It was horrid. It was so hard.
Did you sweat?
Almost.
Almost.
It's a good thing I had a cool drink beside me, so it was all right. Elle doesn't listen to sexist liars like Ryan. Sexist.
Whatever.
What's wrong with being sexy? I don't get it.
So, what happened on Nerd Cognito?
I guess I'm blanking. Honestly, the last half, I was doing some computery stuff and grading, and I may have kind of tuned out a little bit. They were talking about nostalgia a little bit, and then they got into some of the business side of things, which was pretty interesting to listen to, but that's when I was kind of busy and wasn't hearing the whole thing. No one can Ultra American. That's how he likes it. He says he can't tell if Elle is joking or not. We just assume that he is.
Well, I'm not. He can be very acerbic and name-calling. So
he can be. I don't know why. Everybody loves Elle. I don't know why he doesn't love everybody else. I find that weird. No, I was there when they attacked her. I guess I don't remember that.
They
That must have
attacked
went
her
right up.
with what?
Some girl.
Hatchets?
I think she's a YouTube girl that watched the Marvels. I don't remember the attacking.
Okay.
Killraven. He says, "What the f is Nerd Cognito?" It's a podcast, and they have a YouTube show called The Speakeasy, which I was on Saturday. Wasn't terribly exciting, not on my part. It was a good show, but I was just kind of there hanging around. They talk about things, a lot of board game discussion, but also video games and RPGs. And it's Ryan David and Kyle from Dying Breed. They're both very good dudes. And of course, Bert, who lives deep in the woods, and he comes out on Nerd Cognito periodically. So I don't remember that L, but I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's okay. One person's attack is another person's. They said something minorly interesting about it, and then someone else will say attack.
Look, dude, I'm not going to cut people off for saying dumb things or whatever. If that's what they said, that she was bad for going to see it. But honestly, if you watch the Marvels, it's on you, dude. It's your money lost, not mine.
Right, and you know, what a little bit I know about Chrissy Mayer is that she's not terribly conservative anyway. So
I think she's easy on the eyes, though, isn't she? Isn't she kind of cute?
a bit,
kind of a blonde. I mean, she's not not as pretty as I am, but she's all right.
No,
for a girl. I mean,
for a girl,
yeah,
she's all right for a girl.
Yeah. So we want to talk a little bit about just a little bit on the Tencent thing, and and my take. I don't think it's different. I'm not sure if other people talk about it. I thought it was funny that people, the Tencent is the thing that happened, was it last week or week before, where people were saying, "Oh my God, they're selling D&D to the Chinese company Tencent and blah blah blah." And I just want to make the comment. It was funny that people had egg on their face when it came out not to be the case. But I do kind of wonder, is if maybe there wasn't a bit of truth there, that maybe they weren't shopping D&D exactly, but Tencent, I know, is more than likely not to own IPs. They're more likely to pay to use them for video games and crap like that. And I get all that, but I wonder if maybe there just was something that, because even though they're not selling, doesn't mean they wouldn't. But Hasbro has a history of not selling their IPs, so it's probably completely false. Dungeon Crafts, where he had to back up. I think some other people had to back up and say they were wrong.
The few, because all I did was put in the search engine on YouTube.
Yeah.
D&D sold or something like that, and then a few of the videos popped up, and then saying that D&D is for sale, and then one says, it's not true, and then everybody that I saw put a video out. I'm not saying everybody that put one out a retraction,
right?
But all the ones that I saw in the list put up a retraction.
I think
Grim Clownfish, because Clownfish was like, "Oh
yeah,"
no,"
well,
and then Clownfish was like, "Oh, I guess we were wrong."
They jumped the gun. I think Grim Jim was a little more level. I think he came out a little more careful. Max said this is interesting. He said they were probably going to sell it. Then they discovered how worthless that stock is and backed out. I guess talking about Tencent. Maybe. I do think it's interesting. Ryan David, I wish he was here. He has a theory that he's been saying for a while, that the way WotC has been fumbling all over themselves, he thinks they're trying to devalue the D&D brand because it's just too much money to try to buy it, and they want to devalue it so they can sell it. But that doesn't. Part of me says, why would you want to devalue your own brand? But then again, Hasbro's in deep poop. Maybe they want to get out of the D&D game, out of the role-playing game.
Okay. So part of that doesn't make a lot of sense. If they have to work hard to devalue it, it had value in the first place, and they probably could have done as much or maybe even less work to give it a little bit more value, so it's worth keeping.
Well, I do believe
the other thing is Wizards of the Coast. Well, there's been a long history of whoever owns D&D to keep it, to keep the IP. They know they don't. They've never sold it. Well, I guess TSR sold it to. TSR sold the whole company to Wizards of the Coast, and then Wizards of the Coast was essentially bought by Hasbro, or merged, or however that worked. But I know someone has said, is it Wizards of the Coast or is it Hasbro that they just don't sell off their IP. They might do licensing. They do all kinds of licensing deals.
Mm-hmm. Max says it's already devalued after the shit show. I think the OGL thing hit them pretty hard, harder than they thought. Um, and I don't know if they would do that, or I don't understand the idea of wanting to devalue your brand. I'm
On
not a
purpose.
business guy on purpose, but because Ryan David, when he explains it, I mean, it sounds like a possibility, but it seems like a stretch. Long story short, for me, here's something I think. And I thought about it because at first I was like, oh no, they're going to sell it to a Chinese company. And then I thought, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Sell D&D. And
how much if we were begging or thinking it would be awesome if Wizards of the Coast no longer had D&D to control.
And I'm not saying I'm pro-Chinese. I'm just saying let them have it. And you know what? We could do to them what they've done to a lot of our IPs in the U.S. They just rip people off anyway over there. They'll take video games and board games, and the Chinese markets will make knockoffs and sell them. There's nothing you can do. We do the same thing.
Right. And Iron Man kind of brings up a good point. What is the D&D IP actually needed for if you can just license the pieces you need? Well, as far as Hasbro is concerned, they can make money by licensing various things like movie rights, and they can make them temporary or permanent. Most of the time, I'm pretty sure they're temporary. They sunset after a while so that they can sell them again to somebody else down the road.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing for visual media. There's all kinds of different licenses that a popular IP can use to make money from other companies who want to produce something based on it. So that's some good there. However, I know that this was discussed with the OGL issues. Was they thought that they were losing money by letting folks use the OGL to make things based on D&D, based on older versions of D&D. So I can see that they might feel that they're losing money, and that what's the point of licensing things out when people are just using it to make other stuff that they're not making any money off of. But they are selling the IP still. They licensed out movie rights to whoever produced the latest D&D movie.
Something E, I think. I don't know. 1E or I don't know.
There's an ongoing license with the current video game. They've got a couple of video game licenses out there.
Well, Larian, the BG3, Baldur's Gate 3, Larian kind of works with Tencent. I kind of agree with David Gwill. Welcome, buddy. He and Mr. Boivin showed up. Oh, no, a Chinese company. Who cares? I'm still not going to support any of them. Yeah, exactly. I'm not either. But I'm saying, in that end, should American really feel bad if they knock off or do a knockoff D&D game based off a Chinese D&D game? I would say no, because what's good for the goose?
Right.
They do it all the time with our stuff and other people's stuff. So
right.
Screw 'em.
It doesn't bother me that it's a Chinese company.
I don't think they want it anyway. That's outside of Tencent's thing. L says he made a comment. I believe this. He says in the latest playtest video on D&D channel that says new books won't be finished writing until June, I commented, just sell D&D to Tencent. They can't do worse than you, Jeremy. I assume he's talking about Jeremy Crawford. Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, there's a couple of actual channels that show live plays or recorded plays. I don't know if any of it's live.
Yeah.
But on my Plex, if you search, you can find in their guide for live TV or whatever it is, it has Dungeons and Dragons as a channel. And there's another one called something else, but there's two role-playing channels that show people playing games.
Yeah. Our man says his point is owning D&D IP is not worth the upfront cost when you can just license what you need when required.
Right, correct. So from the point of view of the other company, they don't need to buy the whole thing. They just need to. It's a lot cheaper. Yes.
It'd be a multiple billion-dollar purchase, right? I'm not wrong on that, am I? If you wanted to literally buy it, I don't think they would let it go for short of a couple bill, right?
Right. I guess.
And there is no.
But if they're devaluing it, then they won't be able to get that.
Yeah, maybe get like 500 million. That would suck.
Yeah, if they continue to tank it, the problem is if they can be shown to actually be doing this on purpose, then they have shareholders, don't they?
I believe so. Yeah.
If they do, then the shareholders can sue the pants off of
You would think so.
Hasbro or whoever they have as running
Hmm.
that particular subdivision.
Assuming you
I
can.
believe that's malfeasance
Our man
if you can
says,
prove it.
yeah, if you can prove that might be the issue. Our man says the word on the street is maybe as much as one bill, but probably less. Yeah. I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine any kind of RPG company being able to purchase D&D. I mean, no one has that kind of, even if it's 350 million, who has that? Is there
Right.
an
So
RPG company that
it
has
would be
that?
pretty speculative to buy because we're in a recession and we're still on I think on a downward track
Mm-hmm.
inflation wise.
Mm-hmm.
It would be somebody who would think that they could either somehow sell it for more on the back end somehow after they've bought it, freshen it up, and like you flip a house. I don't know that you can do that right now with with this industry. I really don't.
Yeah. Martinson says it would be pocket change for him. So Cabin Con's on Martinson this year, folks. Probably big geek con too. But I think it might have been the Speakeasy or the Nerd. It was the Nerd Cognito guys or somebody on there. It'd be interesting if Elon Musk bought it. I mean, he could throw $1.5 billion away and not even blink.
Right.
I
But
mean, I have no reason why he would.
I
And
don't.
I'm not.
I have
I have no.
no.
But if he's thought,
No.
if he's like,
There's no way.
what? I think they're stupid. I'm going to go ahead and do it and see what happens. I agree, Mr. Boivan. I could not buy D&D for. I wouldn't buy them for $1 billion if I had it. Yeah. But anyway, so I tried the game Thursday. I was supposed to play with RPG is Dumb. We got a new guy. What's his name? Crispy, I think. Nerdy Ogre and Max Leal. But Max got really sick and he could not join us. And so we ended up not getting to play, which was sad. But we are playing this coming Friday, Joe. You remember? Every 2 weeks, roughly. So we're going to be playing more Horde Wars with DM Blackwall.
Wars.
We should record this, and we should put it out this time. I think we should just do it.
Just do it. Well, it's going to take some doing with my technical problems.
Oh, well, maybe not then. We may have to wait and see. Joe is technically challenged this particular time.
I don't know why my microphone, well, I kind of know maybe why my microphone all of a sudden starts acting up.
Mm-hmm.
When I updated Linux, there was a little blurb after it saying, hey, you might experience some sound issues. Here's a program you should use if that should happen. So I have some choices to make. Maybe I will have to change. Maybe I can downgrade to the previous version. And if I can do that, maybe I will, because it was so silly.
Elle makes a good suggestion. Joe should play his randomly rolled character, that elf we made last time. He was actually pretty effective. Kind of weird, but interesting.
Well, I would, except my character is one tick away from getting second level. So,
and I leveled last time.
Yeah,
second level,
I
baby.
can't let Randy get too far ahead. That's not a good idea.
It's dangerous when I get really high level. I do crazy stuff.
But yeah, the show today, the whole Tencent thing is just
I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Some folks had some words to say about it, and then they had to have other words to say about it when it was, they were really quick to get in there. Hey, D&D's going to get sold, and then they had to retract afterward.
Well, I think there's been several people kind of predicting that anyway, so that probably they thought it. Now, I did hear today from Pundit, some people are jumping on the news that back in December when they let people off, there were a lot of publishing type people in-house that got let go, and that maybe D&D, because they are going to be looking for a new digital publishing VP, people are jumping on the bandwagon that books are going to become a special whales only type thing. The book team got let go or something. So we'll see. I mean, that might happen. I don't know.
And we don't know what
in the end.
I hope they do. With that.
I just hope Wizards does all the wrong steps, all of them. and
Well,
just runs
they
D&D
have a
fully
history
into
of it already.
I want them to run D&D fully into the ground in any way that they can, to where people can't even think about playing it. And it becomes a black mark in the industry, and that's it.
It was the deck of the many things that got fired. Not
Okay. I don't know. That's just what I heard. Pundit made that comment. I
so
don't
it
know.
wasn't all the whole thing. It was just that one
Well,
subsection.
some people are saying it looks like it's going to happen because of this and that. I don't even know. And so, hey, Nerdy Yoga, what's up, brother? Oh, Bob Ann spends book for whales. That doesn't make any sense. The books will get ruined under the water. Yeah. Big spender.
Larry says that program, referring to the sound program I was talking about, only costs $19.95 plus fees. It's a free download. So no, that wasn't a scam to get money out of me. There wasn't any ads or anything. It's just a little annoying.
Yeah, but anyway, it'd be cool if D&D just disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, what say we get into our first topic today?
Let's do that.
So when one DM is not enough, really what we're going to do, we're talking about the idea of having multiple dungeon masters at a game and in a campaign. And I tried to...
at a game. You mean there are multiple DMs?
They are actively dungeon mastering either at the same time or as part of the campaign. So I've kind of broken this down into what I thought types of campaigns with multiple DMs. That's more what I'm focusing on. But we can also talk about a game where you have multiple DMs. I think it was Iron Man mentioned earlier in the comments before the show started that, let me see if I can find it because he made a good comment, and I have seen something like this work. Let me find the Iron Man. Here it is. He says, I participated at a convention where the DM ran the game and a second DM helped a bunch with combat. I have too. Probably 12 players or so. That worked okay. I only had 6 players, but it was a 5e DM, so there's that. Kill Raven. It's dumb, and you shouldn't do it. End of discussion. Well, here's I'm going to bounce off some ideas to you. So take this and think about it. Let's mull this over, Joe.
Do I have to think about it?
You have
to.
Are
you sure?
Yeah, I need your melon here.
All right, fine.
David said I'll get to it. One main DM and others who fill in when he needs a break. Could be one player wants to run a one shot that may or may not affect the current PCs. So basically you have multiple DMs at the table willing to DM, but you have one DM. So basically it's a normal campaign, but people will step in and cover for him. That's probably something that happens a lot.
Okay, when you say multiple DMs at the table,
right?
What do you mean that there are multiple people that could DM?
Okay, so I'm about to list. I'm going to slowly build up to a more complicated situation. So I'm trying to say, here's one environment where you have multiple DMs. So I'm running the game. Run a couple adventures. I'm getting kind of burnt out. I'm like, I'm tired, dudes. I like somebody to step in. Can you run an adventure next time and let me play? Joe's like, I got this. And you have people knowing that that's a possibility, and you step in. Maybe you run a completely different system. Maybe you run a little side adventure for these same characters. I think that's a situation I think a lot of people do, and they wouldn't call it multiple DMs.
Right, because that's really one DM running a single thing at a time instead of multiple DMs and all involved in the same campaign world or shared, even if it's something as minor as just having everybody porting their characters around to different games.
Yeah. Ultra American says, the only time I've seen multiple DMs is on a TTRPG Discord servers. Each one was absolutely horrendous. It creates a huge imbalance between the GM and the players. Well, let me counter that for you. Well, I don't want to do it yet. That's a good comment. I'll come back to that. How about this? So that's probably something people do. That's not that exciting. What about multiple TMs within the campaign setting? Now, here's what I mean. They're geographically separated. So we sit down. There's 3 DMs, me, Joe, and Larry Elliott. Joe gets the Dale Lands. I get Anarok, that desert region, and Larry Elliott gets Cormier, all right, or gets something else. I can't think of another Realmsian city. And basically, we run our own stories until one guy wants to take a break and play a little bit, and then Joe takes over, and we probably have different sets of characters. You know what I'm saying? It's probably unlikely it's the exact same characters unless you want to say it's close to it. Yeah. Nerdy's got it. Divide the land. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. The divide the land idea. What do you think of that, Joe?
Oh,
What's
that's
your,
fine. That's fine
yeah.
too.
You don't see any issues with
Okay.
that kind of play?
Not as, not on paper,
Mm-hmm.
like anything else. In practice, it might be an issue, but that's probably not going to be an issue because they're using the same campaign setting. It's going to be because one or more of the extra DMs either they're putting their foot down and saying I'm the dude and everybody else has to be subservient in some kind of way, or they're not coordinating, or one of them throws a monkey wrench and you're supposed to be playing 5th level characters in a D&D setting, and then he says, yeah, I'm going to give the wizard a Staff of the Magi just just because.
Right.
Right? Stuff like that. But as long as the DMs coordinate to it, it doesn't have to be huge, and agree on some sort of ground rules.
Mm-hmm.
And those don't have to be huge either. I think it can be fine.
I think so too. I think that's probably one of the easier ones to do, where everybody kind of has their own little mini campaign within the campaign setting, and none of that stuff needs to cross contaminate. You could add some. You could have some discussion to make it a little more interesting, where all the 3 DMs decide that let's have some consistent commonalities. If we're in the same campaign world, even if we're running different player groups. So when Joe's running, I have a character. Everybody else has a character for Joe's game. They have a character for my game, and they have characters for Larry's game, and we're happening in the same campaign world around the same time. We could all agree that, you know what, in this version of the realms, there are magic item shops, and you can buy stuff for this much money, or you can do it like Pathfinder, or we could say, hey, you know what, magic items must be created through an ordeal and a trial, so don't be handing them out like candy. You don't have to, but you could. You could have agreements, and that would make it a little more, you have to have a little more talky talk back and forth, and that could lead to some issues.
Right. So, okay, before you go forward, are any of these the co-DM type of
Not yet.
setup?
Though there's people talking about co-DM stuff. I don't want to forget.
Right, but
that.
is it in one of these bullet
yes,
points that you have?
co-DM.
Okay, then we're going to come to it.
Yes, we're going to come to co-DM stuff. Actually, that was one of the last ones because I think that was one of the ones I sort of forgot. But let's talk about that now. So the co-DM, I want to talk about it now. That's where you have people at the table, right? Where like maybe I'm the main DM. I'll tell you how it worked for us at Gen Con. We had the guy who was running the descriptive part, telling you to make checks and do this. Then there was a guy that ran combat where he literally took the monsters that the main DM brought to them, and he played them tactically while the main DM just narrated the results. And it worked out pretty well because the main DM was doing most of it. But when fights broke out, that DM was helping out.
Now, was he also a player, or did he just sit there?
He
and
was
wait
not a
until
player.
combat?
He was just a main DM.
Okay.
That would seem boring to me, but David Gwill has experienced that. He was referring to Flady 1. He played in a game. It did make combat smoother, but it also let players split up and everyone can keep playing instead of bouncing back and forth. That's a possibility too in that style, because if 2 players run off to go see what's happening at the library, that DM could take them, and if he knows what's happening at the library, he could run it.
Right.
There is a danger that information could get screwed up, but I mean, as long as you're willing to roll with it, that's kind of the drawback of that. And what if here's a question: what if that player playing the monsters is a super tactician, and he just puts the whammy on the players because he's really good at combat? Now, as a DM, I would say, oh well, but some DMs may not want the monster to always do the optimal thing.
Right.
Right.
Because not all you could see where some monsters, like a zombie, mindless zombie, it doesn't consider its actions. It just goes after somebody to eat their face off.
I would try I've done a co-DM sort of thing. Martinson brings this up, talking about the one time I ran it at Gen Con with our old friend Bob. and we had a very cool experience. We basically had a we were running high level third edition characters, so 15th to 20th levels, and we had about 12 players. We each took 6, and we had a mechanic during the game where a chaos effect, which was affecting the world, would cause players to bounce from one table to the other. Every hour, we'd have a timer go off, and we'd do chaos. We called it the chaos ribbon, and it would shoot through the lands. And what was really kind of fun is we would randomly select the number of players who shifted. So it wouldn't always be a 1-to-1 thing. In fact, for 1 hour, I had one player at my table and he had 11. And my one player was facing off a massive black dragon. So for that hour, he hid and just tried to not be found. Luckily, he was a thief shadow dancer type guy, so he was able to hide, but he was like in deep doo-doo for a long time. It can work out. And I think that sort of co-DMing where you're at the table, that's a little different though, where you're at different tables, but that's close to that. I've always thought it'd be interesting to try it, but I feel like it would be boring to be the combat DM. Sit there and wait.
Yeah, if you're just waiting, unless you feed him combat every chance you get, and it doesn't seem like he's taking too much of a rest.
Mac Thompson thinks multi-DMs are only good for very large groups with lots of action, maybe, or a lot of intrigue and political stuff happening in Vampire. Yeah, you might need I think it would be good for that. I don't know if it's only. I would argue that it's maybe not only. Joe, I don't know if you can keep track of some of the comments. They're just rolling through them, but it's hard. I'm trying to, too. I think a West Marches style game where the Bro, kind of like how the Bro SR tried, a lot of them are fond of the West Marches style, where the group returns to a home base and a new player could DM an adventure. We talked about doing that at Cabin Con, not the Bro SR, but have a West Marches style where we have a home base, and every adventure you had to be able to leave and come back, or leave and die. If you died, that's okay, but the adventure had to be completable within a 4-hour time frame. And then when everybody lands back, someone else could run it. So that would be a way to have multiple TMs in the campaign, the very campaign, keeping your character. And as a player, as a DM, you would need to have a player character as well. That's always fascinated me, as long as people were willing to run the adventures,
A DM with a PC as well.
Well, by this, here's what I mean. So if I'm running the game, my PC's in town doing stuff. But if you run the game and I'm at the table, I can play my PC.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't want a DM PC. We've talked about that before.
I've never liked that.
That's not my favorite. So
some folks in here are saying things like, blah, 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 I don't need the help. This isn't about that. This isn't saying the DM needs help, so let's have more DMs.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear people talk about having more DMs than one in their group of friends who play games. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily just with your one small group.
No.
That's one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way to do it. Where you pass the hat.
Mm-hmm.
You can share characters between or not. Then you could have multiple DMs for your larger group that's in your geographical area, so that you're sharing a campaign, and then you can have characters port between them. That's one of the utility. That's one utility from this. It's not necessarily the case that this is about helping the DM because he needs an extra DM there to hold his hand or something.
It's a style to where, it could ease the burden on one player if they feel burdened to run the game. It could just let them do something different, because the DM is juggling a lot of balls in the air when he's running the game. And so if one guy runs combat, especially in a heavy tactical game like 3rd edition or even 4th edition D&D, it might allow you to do that. So now I'm interested in this style. I think West Marches could work.
Yeah,
definitely. I would love to do one where, here's another. I call it the one main architect DM, who uses sub DMs to run regions, adventures, or portions of the setting. The degree of control of the architect could vary.
Right.
We tried something like that with multiple architects with our Elysium game we ran for many years. And I think Patrick described it best as too many cooks in the kitchen. There weren't enough controls to run the types of games that some of us were trying to run, including me. I think if you turned it more into a West Marches where you don't worry so much about, real tight consistency and let the chips fall where they may, and don't try to have a lot of like political machinations, which we had, and things got out of hand. It got demanding on certain players. We had that leader of our stable. I think that's not a bad way to run something. L says, Randy, is the author of a module the architect and the GM? No, I wouldn't say that. L says, is the author of a module the architect and the GM just a code GM? No. I'm saying imagine a game where you got 20 or 30 players, and say I'm the architect. Let's say I am. What I would do is I would say, okay, in this world, spell books for wizards are super rare. But when they find spells, wizards can cast them as much as they want as long as they make a constitution check. So I want to adjust. I'm going to add some certain rules. And in this world, demons cannot be summoned. They can only come through standing gates. And the co-DMs would not break those. I would have a handful of rules that we would need to follow. And so like I say, you can't all of a sudden say, oh, well, look, I have a wizard. I'm summoning demons. Not unless something amazing happened. I'm the architect. I'm just saying that's for example, L. Right. I think that could work, but you're going to have DMs who are willing to give in to that head DM. And if they're like, I don't like that idea, I want to run this way, then that probably won't work. I think that's a hard way to do it. Then there's a lot of communication. If I have 3 co-DMs and they're running, so they could be running games at the same time, they just can't break the big 5 or 6 rules that I lay down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We generally tend to run pretty casual games.
Yeah.
So and casual games have as much prep as the DM wants to put into it, which is, for Randy, he, spends 50 hours per hour of gameplay, but
I'm down to 45.
The games are pretty casual.
Yeah.
So if you brought multiple DMs in it and then it got not casual like we play anymore, and it became too much work to coordinate,
correct,
it would probably not be a good thing for you.
Which is what happened to Elysium.
Right. That's because we kept adding little, wouldn't it be cool to do this? Wouldn't it be cool to do this? Wouldn't it be cool to do this? And it ended up not being cool because we were doing too many things.
Yes.
Instead of just having DMs run their game and letting people use their characters in all these different games instead of making them roll up new characters all the time. So I think the primary thing at first we were trying to do is have portability with the characters between DMs. That's primary.
That's what we were shooting for.
But then it became so many different things that people started having jobs.
Yes. Within the world, our characters had positions in this guild, right?
Yeah. Right.
Let's call it a guild. And then some players were interested as both DMs and players in the political side. Others just wanted to go out and fight monsters. Others wanted to go fight in the arena and not even think about it. And then it got, for some players, it got onerous. Iron Man hits it on the head here. He says, it might work well if the campaign is episodic rather than day by day. Yeah, that's the way I think a West Marches would work, where you just let the DMs do what they do. Don't get all panicky if it doesn't quite work out, beautifully or whatever. So
right. Now, on the other hand, there might be groups that like that kind of thing, because the Bro SR dudes, that's what they like to do. They like to be very regimented and heavy on the paperwork. And
yeah. But then you can make your West Marches game more, because I've heard a guy talk about it where like something happens on an adventure and another DM goes, ooh, I'd like to do the consequence of that. But you have regimented rules and one-to-one time. And I don't want to go down the Bro SR thing, but they would want to keep everything super tight and everything should make sense. And so that would take some talk between dungeon masters at some point.
And if they're all on the same page with that, then that's fine for them. these are all this is a different style of play.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the chat here are saying it can't work or that's
Uh-huh.
not good. And sure, their point of
Mhm.
view, so I have to take that with a
Mhm.
grain of salt that that's their point of view. But at the same time, there are people that do this. So
It does work somewhere.
it works for some people.
Yeah.
And just because you had a bad experience, and I'm sure that people have, I've had plenty of bad gaming experiences,
Mhm.
doesn't mean it was because having a campaign, a big campaign with multiple DMs was the issue. It could have just been the personalities involved. I know playing the Living, and I think they changed the name of it. It wasn't Living Greyhawk anymore when it was third edition. It was
The R
something else.
the RPGA,
RPGA, whatever it was
what it
called.
was called, yeah.
Yeah. If people just took it were casual about it and just ran the modules and didn't worry that some unfortunate results would happen because of it, it would have been just fine. But we had weirdo players doing weird things because they were, I don't know why a player would do the things that they did in this one campaign. They basically screwed everybody over.
I know.
Everybody over.
So I don't get it. I played a Pathfinder Society. I mostly ran Pathfinder Society for the first 2 or 3 years, and year 0, 1, and 2, and it was just most players were really good, but some were just complete jerkwads, and it's like I don't get it.
Right. So we had the situation in hand, and this guy back attacked one of the characters of the player, and we got captured, and that was the end of the module. The DM
Nice.
had to really work, really work at, we had a campaign loss. We lost stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was really awful because he thought we were all going to die.
Right.
So he knocked out the one player. Then we had to surrender. He's like, we surrender.
Jeez.
It was really bad. So then some of the modules weren't really well designed. The main guy, when you walk in, says, I'm going to take all of your items that are made of this material. And there's really not anything you can do about it except fight him. And then he's a cloud giant or something like that. And we all got killed because, players don't want to just give up their stuff. Permanently.
I'm going to answer this question. Iron Man might chime in. L says, Iron Man, so West Marches is episodic. One GM must end before another can begin. No cliffhangers. Here's what I've heard. If you run the West Marches style as designed, you have a home base. Your adventurers go out. They must come back to the home base by the end of one session. They got to return to that town or village or whatever. Yes, that's how it's set up. It's meant to be episodic. So that's meant to give players some more agency too. So like if you have 2 players, like I heard there was a magic sword in this cave where people had just defeated these kobolds, but it was hidden behind a magical wall. And so then another DM could be like, dude, I can do that adventure. Okay, I'll do it next Tuesday. Who can play next Tuesday? 6 players raise their hand. We can do it. So those 6 players. And I think West Marches is meant to handle, that style is meant to handle large groups. Now, some people don't mind sitting down and playing with 14 people at the table. No, I'm not interested in that. Not even remotely.
Or the other thing that they do is the players have multiple characters.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't make it out of a situation in time, like it takes X amount of time for you to do some crafty thing or researchy thing or whatever, then that particular character can't go on the next adventure because, strict timekeeping. So you play another different character.
Yeah. Flint Fire Forge agrees with me. 14, nope.
Yeah. Yeah. And everybody has, their little caveats, what they like and what they don't like.
Now here's a style I think where the main architect one might be tough to pull off. This one would be easy, but this would be least satisfying for me. One campaign setting or world. Adventures or sessions are run by each DM. No one worries too much about consistency. You literally can change DMs on a whim, meaning I'm done. Who wants to take over? Players could take turns running modules, adventure path, or other types. They could keep the same character. We won't worry about how they got there. They're just there.
Okay, the only way that I think this could really derail is if DMs are constantly quitting in the middle of something. So
right,
you're in the middle of a scenario, you're deep into the dungeon, you're you're about to break into the main lair and you don't play for a week, or the next time, you end the session there, and then the DM says, "Yeah, I'm done."
Yeah, I'm thinking more. Yeah, that
But
would be
if
that
you
would be
if you're
annoying.
yeah, it would be annoying. So the way this would work fine is just when you say changing on a whim, it's like, all right, we're done with this scenario, and now I'm done. Who wants to pick up?
But if I ran In Search of the Unknown, where you go like levels 1 to 2 or 3, and I run the whole thing, your character's a second level, and say, "Hey, I'm done. Someone take over for these
Yeah,
guys."
that
And
should
then
work
Joe
out
could
all right.
start. Then Joe could run Hamlet. You may not do Temple of Elemental Evil. You could just run Hamlet and go from there.
Right, right, right.
Um, I wouldn't quit. He goes, "You got 14 people who wouldn't quit." I wouldn't quit the game, but I'd say I'm not running that many people. Oh
There
wow!
are DMs that like large crowds, so there are who would quit. Someone would quit, and someone wouldn't. I mean, that's
Gil,
just the way it is.
Gilraven says, I believe he said, he including the DM, he said more than 6 people at the table, and I'm not interested. Prefer 3. So when you say you prefer 3, do you prefer that includes? He says he's including the DM, so he likes 2 players and a DM. Interesting.
That's very small.
It's a lot of action. I have played 2. I have done that back in the 3rd edition era, and we had some good times doing that. I ran a great 4-hour game or 5-hour game with John T. and who else played? Just one other player. We had a great
Right.
time.
I mean, you can play with 2, and I'm going to say that really, if I'm playing, I don't really care if there's not a lot of other people at the table, but I think I would have a better time if there were more people.
If you have
Mainly because, I mean, depending on how the game is run. So if you're 2 players
Mhm,
and you only have 2 characters,
mhm.
then your type of adventures they're going to go on are limited because there's only 2 players. There's only 2
unless
characters.
unless you do something like Gestalt, give them
Even with
some
even with
bumps.
Gestalt, you're still limited because you're still only one character. You're only doing one thing at a time. You only have limited hit points.
Action
And
economy could be tough for that group.
yeah, so it all depends on the system. It depends on the 2 people. They may be fine with just having the limited things that they can do as just 2 people. Now, if you're also having hirelings and a bodyguard, you have people that you're hiring to go with you, that's fine. Then you can pad out that group, and then you have your options are widened. But just 2 characters has a smaller set of adventures that are viable for them.
But Armin makes a good point. He's run games for one player that lasted 3 years. He could get very detailed because it was just that player expectation or complication. So you could play and get in deep and maybe not do the types that you're right. The types of adventures would probably change. And a smart player would not seek to do the same thing. I mean, if Joe's playing a solo mage, he's not seeking to assault the Temple of Elemental Evil if he's 3rd level. He's not
Maybe
going in there.
only if I could know I can sneak in and avoid things. Right.
Yeah, and Mr. Bravoyan makes a good point. 2 characters also allow for different types of adventurers. True.
Sure.
You could have a much smaller scale, small town. 2 rogues could go sneak into a, do a little.
You could just run a buddy cop show
You could, yeah.
type of scenario.
I don't think we're saying it wouldn't be fun. It'd just be very different. But the idea of having a bunch of players, a bunch of people willing to DM, and I run in modules or run an adventure, 1 session or 3 sessions, and run a complete story, and then hand those characters off to the next guy, and they could be halfway across the world. Heck, if you really don't want to worry about consistency, they could be in any world. I mean, you
Right.
could have a plane hopping campaign where you go from Greyhawk to Forgotten Realms to Dark Sun to wherever. I mean, as long as you don't care about those things, a lot of people get bothered by those nitty details. That bugs me, but
Right.
I could probably play in it and have a hard time. I wouldn't call it. It probably would not be my greatest campaign. I would enjoy the most, though.
Well, if you were doing your games, and when people came into your game from a different DM,
Yeah.
as long as they didn't have a truckload of gear and money that would disrupt your game, I don't think it would be that big of a deal.
If I'm doing 1 session, and this is going to be hard for Joe to believe, but if I'm running 1 session or 1 game, I'm just one of 3 or 4 DMs who rotates periodically.
Mhm.
I'll be honest with you, because that game would have such limited consistency. I would let everything go. I would not want to mess with the rules. I wouldn't want to. I would randomly roll for treasure. And if you had a fourth level party that got a +4 sword, that's what you got. Good luck, guys. Go do it. And I just live with it because I just wouldn't feel connected, and not in a bad way. I would probably still have fun doing that, but it would be lesser. It wouldn't be as fun as I would have in a real tight campaign where, I feel like things are going in a certain way. The world is of my making, but I can't say I wouldn't enjoy it. It could be fun.
Right.
It would definitely be a lot less worries from the player side about, oh my God, we got these rules. Go ahead.
Right. So Killraven, there's a little discussion in the chat about solo. L, if you say so, around here, around my area, we always call it solo, meaning one PC. 60 of one, half a dozen of the other half. So a DM and a PC.
That's what we've always called it too. Solo was DM.
That could be solo, but there's another definition of solo where it's just one person.
Correct.
And they are running the game with a DM simulator or some other thing where it's just one person. So it's two. So it's either or, right? Just like Killraven is saying, it's one person can't lord over the definition and say this is what it is.
Larry Elliott says Saturday mornings. I am getting to that, bud. That's an interesting experiment. I want to go back a little bit. Nerdy Ogre way back when at about, what was it, 8:05 said, also, this is way back, so Joe kind of landed near this one. If one person is learning to be a GM and another is trying to guide him, that would be, I would be leery. I would not want to, I don't think I'd want to be either one of those guys. I don't want to step on other, because I've had players trying to DM say, hey, Randy, why don't you help me DM? And I'm like, I can give you some advice, but why don't you just do it? And the players should take it easy on a new DM. Let him make mistakes and be forgiving, point it out after the game, and go on. Martinson points out solo. Deadlands did a solo thing with the Crater Lake Chronicles. Yes, you literally play by yourself. You make a Savage Worlds Deadlands character and you play. I agree with Elle. I think that's the best way to learn. Players can teach the GM. I think a rookie GM with rookie players is best. Is second. No. The best situation is experienced DM with a rookie table of players. That's the best. The second best would be rookie DM, rookie players. And the third best would be what Elle said, though I agree with him. Rookie DM, experienced players. Here's why. Because a lot of players get a little too uppity if they know more than the DM. In my experience, I've seen a lot of players get a little too uppity. Well, that's not how it works. And then my old experience, I did this even when I didn't know how to DM much because I took Gary's advice really, really serious. I'm running this crap. What I say goes.
Right.
So if you don't like it, I don't care. But a lot of new DMs would get, bullied a little bit by a bunch of players. They could be. I'm not knocking all players. I think it would be a great experience if the players are willing to let him do his thing and not lose their mind. I've been a bad player for a young DM once back in the old days, but mostly I think I'm a good player for a young DM. I just say, whatever. Mm-hmm. Whatever you say is good. Let's do it. And then afterwards, you don't really do that. You should probably have given them a saving throw for that.
Right.
What about this style? And this is the one that would be the hardest, but it would be kind of cool. This is what I've always wanted to do. A campaign setup crafted in their own world, decided in advance by a group of dungeon masters. So 4 or 5 or 3 or 2 come to consensus. That would be hard. Even 2 or 3 would be hard. And they try to keep an internal consistency within their campaign world. So they really have a meeting of the minds as to how the campaign's going to run. And they don't try to go off and do their own thing. They do what is agreed upon in advance. They can even run their own set of players and maybe have interaction between those players, so that maybe Joe could play under Larry, and then Martinson could play under me. But then Martinson might go over and run an adventure because the story called for it under Joe in his area. I think they could either take turns running different players, but that would be the most challenging to coordinate with time, with effort, and with consistency. It would be a
Right.
very
And,
difficult thing.
and if
How much?
everybody had their own way, had their own ideas for how certain things should go, and they weren't
Hmm.
willing to let go or compromise or anything like that, which I guess is fine because your ideas, you want you to do your ideas, you don't want to do somebody else's ideas.
I would
So
not be. That would be. That's a that's a kind of a communist approach. But
well,
I mean, I think in some ways it sounds cool.
in some
Um,
ways, the problem is it is to expect everyone to agree on the
it
things.
would be very difficult.
Right.
Oh, so
uh,
difficult.
Very difficult. So that's what
Yeah,
another reason why a lot of this stuff only works when everybody's on the same sheet,
yeah,
as far as all that, or they've worked out the details so they don't need to, like
yeah,
with the having the one DM run everything but combat and the other DM runs the combat. There's no heads to bump.
yeah.
They
I
just
think
hand
that would,
off.
of all the different ways we've talked about, that would be the most difficult. Um, yeah, I mean, it would be really difficult to pull off three DMs running three separate games in the same setting with all the same rules, trying to run the world consistently could be tough. Like, because, I'd be like, what are you doing giving away a +2 sword? They're barely 19th level.
It's hard to get consistency from one DM and a set of players.
Fair enough.
Right. So if you're worried about having really tight consistency, probably not going to happen.
Yeah. And Elle's got it. Sounds like going to the hospital to see one doctor, but it takes six to decide to give you a shot of penicillin, sent you home. Too many cooks. Yeah, we've had that issue. Too many cooks spoil the stew. Killraven says, sounds like something that would start well, then crash and burn within 3 sessions. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So I think is there another style that you wanted to bring up?
I got a couple more, but yeah, is there something you want to comment on though?
No, I want to. I have a comment for when we're done with all these.
Here's one that I tried one time and it was fun, but I would never do it consistently. I had a round, I don't think Joe was part of this. This was back in first edition. I had a round robin session just on a whim. I ran for an hour and I told the players because no one was willing to I was always DM. I said, you guys need to try. And so what we did is I ran an adventure basically off the cuff for 1 hour. When the alarm went off, Ryan, remember Ryan and Jeremy and those guys, he jumped in, he ran, he picked up where I left off and assumed what I was doing. And we completely, it's like the telephone call thing, the telephone
Right.
game.
Right.
It ended in a completely weird place. This halfling that had stolen this thing from them was supposed to just be a low-level thief. He was wanting them to follow him so he could say, look, I took this because I need your help to do this. He ended up being a demon in disguise by the time the fourth DM finished it up. Now, we had a great time.
Yeah.
We literally moved seats at the table. So we ran for 4 or 5 hours, 4 or 5 DMs. I think I finished it off too because I was like, what am I going to do? And so it was kind of a fun, literally round robin goofy thing. It was a fun time for that group. It's not something I can't imagine a campaign because it got totally crazy, but we had a good time. And it's clearly a one-shot style of play. Elle says there's no way he would do it.
But then
says,
Flint says, I love that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Armin said, so whose line is it anyway? Yeah, it was kind of like that. It was a one shot. I could never imagine doing that as a campaign.
You ask 10 role-playing gamers,
right,
what they like, and you get 10 different opinions whether on a particular thing. Do you like this? Do you not like this? What do you like about that? You get 10 different opinions. Mm-hmm. So that's why these kind of conversations are cool because you can get a lot of different opinions.
Yep.
And none of them are more valid than the other ones, except the ones that agree with me are obviously more valid.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting. Elle said, this is interesting. Elle says, we did it 1 month as a GM to see who was better. Oh, wow. If you have a new group,
that's cool too.
That's not a bad way to do it. Say, hey, and you could even do the black die, white die in a bag to vote for the DM.
Now, the other thing is what happens when that DM that got voted to the best says, all right, I guess I'm the best, but screw you guys. I'm not doing it.
I'm not running. I don't like to run.
I'd rather play.
Gil Raven's like, would be good for paranoia. Martinson says, do that at Big Geek Con. Don't tempt me. Could I get 4 or 5 players to join me if I did that, you Big Geek Con guys? If you'd sit down and play it, I might would do it. I'd start it off. We could see how it goes. I wouldn't mind. Run some OSC or something real basic and simple or Savage Worlds. That could be fun. And then there's the RPGA style where everybody has a character. Um,
Well,
Joe kind of mentioned it, and
yeah, the
those have
RPGA is some other group creates all of the
right.
lore and adventures, and then multiple DMs who have no say so in any of it. You treat it basically like a module, but then there's lots of paperwork involved and record keeping and
Yeah.
these game elements we don't use because it's a shared environment, and because of that we have decided because of reasons it's not allowed.
Wizards
You
too
know,
powerful. They can't cast spells beyond 0 level.
right.
Who
So
was a one of our friends went to it was called an arena style. They went to a game store, and they had these people when they called them, they saw it online. They're like they went across probably 45 minutes away to play, and they said we'd run an arena game. This is where before we ever did our arena, so it was
right,
one-on-one combat in third edition. And they said bring whatever you want, seventh level character, do whatever. Well, they get there, they have wizards and their stuff. Go, oh no, we don't allow wizards in this. It's not fair. So they like put all these weird rules in.
no wizards, I'm out, says Darth D. That's my opinion as well. Right. So
Oh,
I did have something to say when we were done with all of this.
well, hold on. I'll give you a
Yeah, I
chance because
forgot.
I want to talk about the current game I'm in. Larry Elliott and I are playing in a game. We're calling it the Minders campaign. It doesn't matter what system we're using, Savage Worlds, but it's not really true. What we're doing is, I mentioned it multiple times on the podcast, not in great detail, but I am the sort of the architect. I run the main. It's a Blade Runner-esque sci-fi futuristic world. There is a device that allows characters to kind of pull a what's that movie? Quantum Leap style thing, and they leap into other worlds. And so your character jumps into an avatar body of some sort of a D&D character one week, and he might jump into a Deadlands character the next week, or a true Blade Runner. He might come back and play in the regular world. And we've got 4 or 5 players and probably 4 consistent ones. And we've really had a fantastic time with that. While I'm the architect of Earth X, as it's called, they all get a chance to run. And when they run, some of the DMs have done some things that I'm like, that's not what I would have done, but I just went with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't a big thing. It was a minor
Right.
thing, but I was like, And at first they were always looking at me to say, well, is this what this one guy would do? I'm like, hey, you're running him. Do what you want. And I'll try to make it happen. So we try to be consistent, at least on a surface level, but I'm never telling, like I think Mr. Elliott's running this Saturday. We're hopping into a Horde Wars world, and he's running our characters through that. And we get experience points with our Savage Worlds characters. And sometimes, we jump into 6th level characters. Sometimes we jump into 14th level characters. We don't always stay in the same power level when we hop from one setting to another. And I don't know where that would fit. Probably a little bit like the architect, but a much looser architect, because I just laid the premise down and now we're just going with it. And things have developed in ways that I hadn't fully expected. So this has been a fun experiment. And I thought it would last 3 to 6 months. We're over a year now, and we're just had some issues not playing over the holidays, but we're trying to get our groove back, and I think it's happening. I think we're doing good. So it's a style where anybody can DM, and so far we've had me, Ben, Tim, and Jeff have all DM'd, and Larry will make everybody in the group have DM'd.
Right.
So at least
and
once.
you guys have buy-in,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys knew what you were getting into, and you still went ahead with it.
And it's worked. I'm shocked how well it's worked better. I think the year of this is as good as the first year of Elysium.
Well, and I'm going to say this multiple times. I've already said multiple times over multiple episodes, is system, and at this point situation, is kind of irrelevant because we have a group of guys where we like playing the role-playing games that we play together, and we have a good time no matter what system we're running. So, and we give allowances for each other because we're friends.
Yep.
So, if someone just all of a sudden in this group, this Minders,
yes, the Minders, that's the campaign.
The Minders group just got up and said, "This is dumb. I'm leaving."
Right.
You all would be like, "What?"
See ya.
Because it would be see ya, but it would be
weird. Be shocking.
Be weird because why are you getting so upset about this? We all knew what was going to happen. But you have buy-in, and you're a bit like-minded, and you give some allowances, not completely compromising everything,
No.
but in a way you do, like you
We
were
even,
just saying, you just roll with it.
to tell you how much we liked it, we set aside a session at Cabin Con last year to play that
Right.
campaign. We have played, and our goal was to try all these games we have on our table. I'll just list these games we played. We played Savage Worlds standard, in the futuristic world. We have played Troika. We have played ICRPG. We have played Starfinder. We have played Beyond the Supernatural. I believe that's a Palladium game. We have played what else? I'm trying to think what else. D&D 5e. That was the first one. And we're about to play Horde Wars. And the next one I run is going to be DCC. So we're going to be playing all these different systems, which was the goal. And it's worked out pretty good because when you jump into a new world, you just say, my dude's mind is in the body of this character who does. We have some other little things going on, but nothing major. And you just play it. And you have one session in that other world, or maybe multiple sessions. We were stuck in a Farscape type world during ICRPG for like 5 sessions. So there's
Okay.
no rule to say you have to hop out. It's not at West Marches. You can
Right.
be in that world for 3 months if that's what it
So
takes.
yeah, that's cool.
You know.
All right. So
Palladium. Yes, Nerdy over.
yeah. So I think any of these could work with our group.
Yep.
I mean, we've tried it with a larger group and it didn't work.
No.
But I think a subset of the big geographical group could do just about any of these styles, and it could work out. Just with your thing there with the Minders.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ben, he handpicked his players to start the campaign. We've lost a couple players here and there, but that's the core. Me, Jeff, Larry, and Ben. That's the core. Tim plays when he can, and remember Darren?
Yeah.
From out of town. Darren's trying to hop in via electronic
Online
stuff. He played last time. It worked out okay. So we'll see how it goes. And I'll be honest with you, I'm shocked it lasted this long, and it's been a hell of a good time. I think you're right. With our group, I could probably grab 4 or 5 guys as long as they were completely buying in. Yes, that might happen. Have I thought about, Darcy says, have you thought about playing Cyberpunk or Call of Cthulhu? I think I should do Call of Cthulhu. Sounds like it's a game I probably should run once.
Yeah.
And of course, that would require me owning it. So I may have to buy a copy of Call of Cthulhu and actually
you like
run it.
horrors. You like the horror genre.
And I like weak player characters.
Yes.
They can't do anything against my monsters, and I can just murder.
Use harsh language.
Right.
Hey, we are about to change into a different thing.
Topic, yes.
And I'm getting whined at by one of my dogs.
Hey, you want to tell them to do? I can tell them to do the things. Let me try it.
Yes. Why don't you talk to the good people for a little bit while
All
I
right.
satisfy one of my dogs by taking them outside?
I want to tell people to. Is this the right one? That doesn't look like the right one. Hold on, guys. Is this the right one? Subscribe. Yes, subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Check out the links where you can find us and do all the cool things. Subscribe and the likes and all that fun stuff. So I'm not sure if I did that right, but that's okay. Nerdy says, what do you mean buy-in? I mean, when I started the Minders game, for example, I said, look, guys, here's what I would like. Well, I said, Ben was like, I would like to have a group that can get into role-playing and can play consistently because he's not a new role player, but he's only been playing for a few years. And he said, we need somebody to kind of set up a premise for us to play. And he looked at me and I said, okay, I will. And so the buy-in is this. We're going to bounce from this futuristic Earth through a machine to other worlds and just accept that it can happen and realize it's a science fantasy sort of element. And your characters can be brought back. We had a few other comments. And then we comments. I said the wrong word. We had a few other ideas that was important, and they were able to agree that was okay. We weren't looking to translate your character from Earth X, and because you're a smart guy, you play a wizard. Your guy's just playing whatever he plays. You accept that, and you go. Thank you, Mr. Elliott. I did that wrong. He said like, chat, and share. Smash the like button. Thank you, Flint. I'm not so good. Elle says the good people So since we are in chat, Randy will wait silent 5 minutes. No, I must have said something dumb. What's up, Jack the 71st? Brother, I ain't seen you for a while. All is going well. Dar says, Randy, I am willing to let you have access to my COC PDF file. At least you can check it out. I have a few of the 7th edition books. Okay, well, I would prefer to buy it, but I do appreciate that, Darth. Maybe I'll look at it, but I will purchase it immediately because I will feel guilty if I have something I haven't paid for. Thank you. They're helping me out here. The folks in the chat are helping me out. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. I am the old man that knows very little about button pushing. I'm going to look over here and see if there's other trouble I can get into while Joe is gone. No, there's not a lot of cool stuff that I can get into. No, that's the last one. That's our old subscribe button. I kind of like the new one better. That's pretty groovy. Yeah. So like, subscribe, and share, and do all that good stuff. I agree. Thank you guys. Thanks for helping me out. Oh, Elle says no. Joe said something dumb. He called us good people. I think you are good folks. I don't care what other people say about you guys. I like you. Oh, Armin has. What's the difference? I heard the editions of COC. Armin says I have first edition COC if you want to go old school. I don't know what the difference would be. I've heard they were pretty close. So Max says start with the starter set. Okay, I think I will. And if I like it, I'm going to be spending many love bucks. Okay, love crafty and cash. Because, oh yeah, I pointed this out, but Max got me something ready to go. So he sent this to me last week or week before. So I got this sticker. I feel like I need to use it, put it on my forehead when I run Call of Cthulhu. Man, you inspired me. Maybe I'll learn. If they got a starter set, I can learn that and run it in 2 weeks for the guys at the Minders group. That would be kind of cool. Oh, I've already got an idea for a Call of Cthulhu type game. That is an excellent idea. Oh, you do. Dar says you get the PDF when you buy the COC books. I like that about Chaosium already. Kill Raven says the 7th edition diverges the most from the old versions. Is that a bad thing? Is that something would I notice much? I've played it once or twice. It seemed just a percentile system. It didn't seem terribly complicated. And it doesn't seem like a very fighty game because you're basically going to get your butt handed to you by creatures of doom. Yeah, true. Thanks, Larry. I need to run Dungeons and Delvers. Gosh, I can't. Oh, you're adding another one to my list. I've got to get Dungeons and. Oh, sorry. I got to get Dungeons and Delvers to the table. I don't want to embarrass myself at Big Geek Con when I run it off the cuff from the module. So, okay. Kill Raven's given points to 7th edition. All right. Well, it would be a one shot for the Minders group. They would go into, I would have to do 1920s. I mean, that's the classic Cthulhu. So Lovecraft setting, I would do that. Send them back to 1920s Earth. That could be fun. Ooh, baseball caps with big geek emblems. Not bad idea. I think we have some caps available on Big Geek Emporium. Black, red, and aquamarine. Yeah, man, I'm down with that. I would love a good cap. The thing is, and I think Joe had trouble with this before. I asked Joseph with the hats early on with the Emporium if we could get these. Like I know you guys know I love caps. I like these stretchy kind. I don't like the ones with the little clips on them. I prefer these kind. So that's what I would want. I actually won't buy the other kind. So mainly because they tend not to fit my big fat head. Well, Ultra American, get your booty to Big Geek Con 2, and you will not have to worry about that. You will not have to solo RPG. You can sit your butt down at my table and die like every other player character. It'll be fun. The softer Velcro ones. Yeah, those aren't bad, Mac. That would be my second choice. Mac Thompson said he likes the softer Velcro, but I love these stretchy ones. The only drawback with the stretchy ones is because I got a huge melon, and this is still an extra large, but I got such a fat head that usually they do eventually get stretched out. Do what I said. Patches, said L. L says, do what I said. Okay, dude, I will do what you said. Patches might be a better choice. We'll figure it out. I just want to be able to get those groovy, stretchy hats, but that's probably too expensive. Haha, nerdy ogre. So I did Have I found my Batman mask? I did, sir. I was also missing a DVD, Secrets of Blackmore. I found that. Next week, Joseph and I will be reviewing, and it's old, I know, 2019 or 18. Secrets of Blackmore, the Dave Arneson story and the history of role playing, the true history, as it says. And I'll be reviewing The Dreams in Gary's Basement. Both are documentaries. One is from the Arneson side, the other is from the um, Gygax side. They're both very good. I've watched them both twice. Iron Man says, everyone gets a free kitten named Patches. Dude, don't joke about that. My wife is part of a rescue group. We could get you guys cats if you wanted them. Trust me. So, but yeah, Secrets of Blackmore and Dreams in Gary's Basement. They're very, very interesting. But I've let Joe borrow my DVDs. He's going to try to watch them. He's got to watch them this week so we can do the show next week. Otherwise, we'll be talking about multiple DMs again, and I know you don't want to hear that. So that's how it goes. But it should be pretty interesting next week. Oh, what else is going on around here? Oh, I'll talk about this. Elle had requested this. This could be fun to talk about while Joseph is gone. I guess Justin Alexander of the Alexandrian had been calling some idea of decaying the dungeon and was mispronouncing Janelle, used to be Paul Jaquays' name. And I think Jaquays got a little upset at him when he was alive, but now that he's passed, I think some of his family upset, but people are saying he did something. Yeah, that's what he's calling it now. That's what they want him to call it, but he's calling it Xandering after his name. Apparently, his publishing company, that book, which I got his book, I just recently got it in the mail, the one about game mastering. I'm trying to look over on my shelf, see where it is. Has it in there. And apparently years and years ago, he called it decaying. They wanted it to be Jaquazing, and then he's changed it to Xandering. Yeah, honestly, I don't think either one of them sounds that smart. And Cal says he was incorrect because Blackmore had those design features first. Probably. I don't know. Honestly, it's not a big deal to me. I don't think he was being. I don't get the feeling that Justin Alexander was trying to be a douchebag and steal something, but maybe. I mean, whatever. I mean, actually, if I had a choice, I would choose decaying the dungeon over Jaquazing the dungeon. Jaquays just sounds weird. Even if it is the correct name, I find it strange. Yeah, just call it Gygaxing the dungeon and be done with it. I agree with you, Cal. I think it's mostly a nothing burger. I know. Jaquays wanted it fixed, though, he says, with an S. I understand it. I just like the sound of decaying. Decaying's 1, Jaquazing's 2, Xandering's 3, though Gygaxing would be number 4 with a bullet. I feel in a few weeks I might be down with Gygaxing in the dungeon. You okay? Are the dogs living?
Yes, they are living.
Oh, good.
And hopefully they'll stop whining.
Oh, Mac wants to know about games listed for the con. Not yet, but I feel like we need to get that done. We are doing what we can. Joe's not quite ready for that yet.
I mean, we could have them submitted the way we did last time.
We could start with that.
And then I can work on getting it incorporated into.
Why don't you give me a week to look at the old files and you and I talk?
Yeah.
And then next week we'll make an announcement. We'll start taking some submissions. I'll tell you what games I'm going to run. So Ultra American wants to get banned. He says, can I run Horse Girl at the con? Yes, you can, actually. And we wouldn't even ban you.
No. You probably wouldn't get anybody playing it.
I would play.
Except to laugh at it.
That's why I would play. And I'm thinking Ultra American would laugh at it too. Hungar says, I'm going to bring cards without humanity just so I can see what you knuckleheads throw. Cards without humanity.
I've heard cards against humanity.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that.
Maybe they have an expansion that says without instead,
Mm.
or maybe he's just making a joke.
Max says he might run Thirsty Sword Lesbian Vampires from Planet L. That sounds like a game I would absolutely not play in. But hey, do it, man. Do your thing. Oh, all right.
Yeah, Hungar saying the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. You ready to run into that next topic / last topic? Oh, question, Joe. They were asking about hats. L suggested a patch, but Mac was like a hat for Biggest Geekers or Big Geek Con 2. We're talking about merchandising. Is there still no way we can get access to hats like this that have the stretchy, cool backs?
oh,
That's
I'm
probably too
sure I can.
expensive.
I have to look and see what
Mhm.
different style hats are available.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we can. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of cost. And then I have to redesign the logo because as it is, because the hats are embroidered. In the logo that we have, the
Mhm.
fireball
Yes.
has a lot of different blended in colors. So when I submitted it, it said, "Yep, it has too many colors. Does not compute. Can't make this out of this logo." So I have to make a less color intense logo for a hat. But we can do it. It's just the logo will look a little different.
Yeah, it looks like Mac being serious is going to bring All Flesh Must Be Eaten. I feel like we played that once. I don't know if Martinson is still here, but did we play that? Yeah, we played a zombie horse. I think we played that once at Cabin Con. Didn't Henry, the guy came one year, he ran All Flesh Must Be Eaten?
I don't know.
I know we got murdered. We didn't make it to the helicopter in time. We got completely murderized. So
Right. So if there, I don't remember that being called that, but I remember people talking about the zombie game. So there's all kinds of. Um, oh, thanks, David.
yes, we will, bud.
He's offering help with the logo redesign. It essentially needs the fire in the background.
Mhm.
There's too many colors, and I can't remember what the limit was, but it's also the colors kind of bleed into each other. The fireball effect. So
Yeah.
if all we did was change the fireball
Mhm.
to maybe 2 or 3 colors, yellow and orange and red,
Yeah.
and they didn't kind of blend. They were more precise.
Right.
Then it'd be all right.
Elle says I should run Weeby Goblins. Don't tempt me, dude. I would. That's actually fun. We played it. It's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. There
There's
was
like there's like
isn't that
five
what
of.
you ran?
I ran it one time, not a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
deep
yeah.
one. We played it. It was fun. Martinson's ran the second one. It's not bad. I mean, if you like Pathfinder, if you hate Pathfinder, it sucks. So there you go. All right. So last
Oh,
segment.
hold on. So David Will is saying separated, not separated so much as the current logo has the colors all blending together, and instead of it being just red and yellow and orange, it's a lot of variations. And when I uploaded the logo,
Mhm.
the program said it had way too many colors. So I'm figuring changing the fireball from what it is to a more not pixel art, um, clip art kind of fireball where you have 3 colors, 2 or 3 colors representing the fire, and they're very well delineated from each other instead of blending. So they don't necessarily have to be separated with a space, but not blended so that there's multiple colors in between the 2 main ones.
Mac Thompson says he'll buy somebody's supper if they run a solid
Traveler,
Traveler game. I haven't. We played Traveler once, Joe. You ran it back in the old days.
I read it once,
Once. That
and we
was
were
it.
all lost because I think I had the beginner box set,
Hmm.
whatever they called it.
You still have it, don't you?
I still have it,
Hmm.
and we were so into how D&D ran, it colored our perception of that game such that we were like, what are we supposed to be doing?
Joe, you should run that at Big Geek Con too. You're going to get a free dinner from Mac. And I think it'd be
Right.
cool. You should try it. You should pull it out,
It
dude. Because
apparently
you're a
it
sci-fi
had
guy.
yeah, it has psionics. I had no idea.
Oh, go for it,
Traveler has
man.
psionics.
Bring all the cool
You don't
toys
you
in.
don't you don't automatically get it. There's some situations involved with
Pre-gens, they automatically get
you
it.
find a training center and they evaluate you. I guess it means you roll dice and maybe you don't get
No, you make pre-gens and someone has it. That's
it.
that's how you do it. See.
But that spoils the whole adventure to find one of these training centers are supposed to be rare.
Right. Well, Nerdy says you made it past character creation.
I
That's
did have a
tricky.
character one time die. I was rolling a character up and
Yeah.
hey, they're dead. How'd they end up dead?
And you're
But
probably
yeah.
like, this guy's awesome. I can't believe it. Oh crap.
But yeah, I
Mm.
think for a con, you give them pre-gens.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, unless you're, I mean, we could do some games like DCC. You could roll up a handful of 0 level characters at a funnel, and you could do that right at the con. But I have those pre-made. I would just pass them out. So I got like 30 of them. You know, the sheets you pull off and just here you go. Here's your characters.
Right. All right. So on to
Okay.
the next
Yeah.
topic.
So this is just something that hit me as a something that I just remember from old school, especially with the Forgotten Realms, the first box set, the idea of adventuring companies. And we tried this. I mean, technically, the Elysium Gladiators were the stable was a company.
Yeah.
We did a campaign called Prism, which is another plane hopping campaign way back in early third and mid third. And we were like a group of Justice League like heroes. So basically, you know, it's in Greenwood's Forgotten Realm box. I'm going fully on memory, so I expect the masters of Forgotten Realms that are here to correct me. He made a comment that players should have a charter and be part of a official company, and I was kind of like an adventuring company. And then it finally dawned on me. He gave them names like the Burning Blades, you know, Alpha Strike or whatever you wanted to pick. Basically, a group of adventurers with a name. And I thought, you know, at first I was like, that's kind of dumb. Then I was like, that's not totally dumb. That could be kind of cool to have a name.
Oh, sure. And
Yeah.
the company could have, you could join one that exists in the game
Mhm.
world, not necessarily found your own that has 4 people in it.
Right.
Which isn't much of a
No, it's not much of a company.
So, I mean, that could be where you could start, and as you level, you might draw in NPC adventurers into your deal. But if you just have it just the 4 people, you lose a little bit of utility. I mean, if you join an existing adventuring company, then that adventuring company can be a quest giver, or there could be lots of other people in it already, and they're NPCs, so you're going to get lore from them. If you want political intrigue, there could be that involved as well, and there could be intrigue involved between different competing adventuring companies.
Yep. I always thought the idea of an adventurers guild. I remember there was a series of articles in Dragon magazine that was, I forgot who wrote it. I want to say Greenwood. I could be wrong. Where a guy was he was a scribe or a sage in a monster hunters guild, and they would talk about sending adventurers out to fight monsters. He would collect pieces, and he would, and in each story in the Dragon magazine, he would give you descriptions, more detail on a particular monster. And Jack makes a good point. The 71st, glad to see him back and around commenting. We have rival adventuring companies that are party competition. Yeah, that's cool. That's not bad.
Now, so I said all that about the gaming company or the adventuring company being something that could be a quest giver, but it could also be interesting having the characters start a company and trying to get it chartered. That could itself be a lot of adventuring needed to qualify for a charter. Maybe there's other adventuring companies that are like, we don't want no more adventuring companies around here. You got to join us. And then you've got to deal with that sort of thing in that region. So there's the one side where I say you can make it easier by, as far as the DM is concerned, by just handing out adventures to the gaming company or adventuring company. But you could make it maybe more interesting by tripping up the characters all the time. You still haven't got your chart. You've been trying for 6 months.
Yep.
When are you guys going to get it straight?
Back to Jack's comment about rival adventuring parties. Martinson ran years ago. We were doing heavy into Pathfinder, the Mummy's Mask. Spoiler alert: Mummy's Mask adventure path, and one of the first, in the first adventure or two, we are racing to get an item in this dungeon with other adventuring companies, and that was pretty fun to do.
You might, yeah, that's
yeah.
cool. You could even set up situations where either the party has to prove themselves, or they have to bribe an official, or something like that. There's all kinds of ways you can play it out to make it interesting. All depends on your proclivities as a DM and the players.
I want to give Elle some props. Him and Mac are talking about the realms, and Elle said, Mac, Red Wizard's pronouns are they, them. That's pretty funny, Elle. Well done, sir. Killraven says, confirms that what I said was from the Forgotten Realms Gray Box. That was first edition. Some area of the realms, like Cormyr, require adventures to have they require it to have a recognized company to operate in the region. I think it could be fun to have an already established adventurers guild, and you go there to resupply, you go there to get rumors, you go there to be sent on missions, and maybe if it's in a really large city like Greyhawk or Waterdeep, maybe your adventuring group can't just go do whatever adventure they want. Maybe the guild's like, look, we send certain teams out that can flex because we know they got reputation, and you got to build your reputation. Like, we're going to go into Undermountain. No, you're not. You're not qualified. Now, it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means the guild's not approving you.
So
you could do.
So you got to figure out ramifications, how it's enforced, and all that. Like here, because that's what I would call it. Guilds extort the new adventurers
for a while.
Yeah.
Got to pay your dues, baby. Literally.
That's extortion. That's not paying your dues.
Arman says, I prefer games where the players are working for someone, a crusader boss, a thief boss, special forces. Yeah. And that's a similar thing where they have some point of reference where they all can come back to it and feel like they're part of something, maybe bigger than even the party. I think that's kind of a cool thing.
But yeah, having those toughs run around and block the way into the adventure. That would be funny.
That would be funny.
You can go in there.
Well, they could be like, what is that? What is that tavern? The Yawning Portal Tavern in Waterdeep, which has got that elevator type thing that goes down into Waterdeep. They could have guys hanging around the tavern and say, "No, you don't have clearance. You don't have clearance. Then your party could kick the crap out of them and go down anyway. What are they going to do? They got to find you, dude. You might find Halaster and take all his stuff."
Mac is calling it the well.
The well. Thank you, sir. Sounds good. I think there's a lot of advantages. I think it's going to be easy to have a place for the players to come resupply. A well-established adventuring guild would, I hate to admit it, they would probably have wizards who sell or share spells once you've attained a certain level.
For everybody but the PC wizard.
Correct. They were like, it's going to cost you triple.
Right.
I normally charge a wizard only 5 gold for this spell, but I'm going to charge 5 billion. I don't remember Killraven. I remember the Yawning Portal. That's all I recall. Darth says adventuring companies are a lot like thieves guilds. They are a point of contact, useful for finding jobs, just focused in a different field. You can use a lot of the same rules. Sure, you could. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Elle says, you have your portal permit. Yeah. That's
gonna stab somebody in the eye if you do that.
How would Joe be so mad? Yeah, here's my permit. Fireball.
Yeah.
There are some disadvantages, though, I think, to adventuring guilds. I think it can become very samey. I would call it video gaming, where you always just come back. Here's the quest giver. Here's the quest giver.
That depends on how you as the DM run it.
Correct. I'm saying it has that potential.
Yeah.
Maybe predictable. Not very epic in my mind. Seems very transactional in terms of It's a bit become very business-like, you know.
It
Done.
could. It depends on the ramifications of what you do. So it could start out on the transactional level, but then could bloom into something bigger. So it could become epic or not.
Mhm.
That all depends on the DM.
Yeah. I think the DM would have to run it that way. When we tried this, we had the Elysium stables where the gladiators would go and stay, and they had the stable houses, and there was competition between different. They were basically like adventuring guilds. I agree, L. It's survival, not epic. Sure, can be. Um, it could be epic because you could also have attacks on the guild. I mean, what if you get to mid level and some evil bad guy destroys the guild, comes in and kills everyone in the guild? But when your party's out adventuring, you might want to seek revenge.
Or
Yeah.
celebrate because you're not paying guild dues anymore.
That's what Joe would do. Good. I wish he'd told me. I would have helped him.
Yeah. I don't like being taxed.
I think our man's got it here. I think it does have potential for long-term play. My Crusader game with the boss ran for a couple years. It was a good campaign. I agree. Yeah. But we ran the
So,
one premise when Prism. It was okay.
you know, true a true mercenary is really just there for the money, but an adventurer's got to eat.
He does.
So if an adventurer doesn't receive something for their work,
Yeah.
then that work is going to eventually not get done.
But you could have a guild that doesn't pay you but they give you leads, and like they have a reputation for finding where cash is. So their adventurers get wealthy. That could be the
Right.
payment. Like, look,
Yeah, you don't
we're not
need
paying you
someone.
nothing. We're
No,
sending you
no.
out to get big money.
Right. So, but we here, the two of us running this shindig right now, know what Randy does as far as treasure.
Tons. Just everywhere you turn.
Right. So typically, adventuring in and of itself is self-perpetuating from a financial point of view because
Right.
you come across things at some point or another. They're either treasure in and of themselves, cash or whatever, or something you could sell, something someone's interested in, or sometimes it's just information. What you have found out is might be worth something to someone. So if you're adventuring and there's never a cash flow as a result of it, not necessarily from the quest giver, because they may not have money, because you might be finding some poor woman's long lost husband, and what you find is their ring on their dead carcass, and you bring that back to them. But in the course of that adventure, you find other things. So, right. But a merc is going to ask for money up front. So that's the difference. And I think Mac is trying to point out.
I think Mac was joking. So he said, mercs do it for money. Adventurers do it for money and women. He was making a joke. We missed it. We were kind of slow. Larry Elliott says, Randy's idea of treasure is that you can live through his adventure. That's a gift.
But,
it is possible to live.
Right. But the adventurer does need an incentive apart. I mean, a lot of adventurers' incentive is, destroying the evil dude, right? Some of them like, on a RP level, your adventurer might like throwing themselves into danger. They might be an adrenaline junkie on some level, but if they starve because the DM, that dude there, never provides a way for their adventuring to segue into a living,
get good,
then they're going to stop. Then they're
good.
likely going to stop.
Get good, scrub. Well, Little Back Darth said, being a guild, there should be some politics involved, and that change things from time to time. Yeah, I think to keep it interesting for me as a DM, if I was running a guild-based or adventurers guild-based campaign, I would definitely bring politics into play.
Right. Mac says absolutely. So he's agreeing with me, which is a good thing.
Mac.
Fame, money, chicks, land, magic items, more money, a boat, bloodshed, Black Lotus, more money.
Boo.
I'm reminded of that In Living Color skit.
Mm-hmm.
The Mo Money.
Yep.
Where they've pulled up their van and we got this stuff here for you. And yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I want to apologize. I'm not doing as much tonight, but I was re-listening to our podcast last week and I was snorting and clearing my throat nonstop. I'm sorry about that. It was so bad. I listened
You
to
had a
our,
cold,
yeah,
or
it was
maybe you still do. How is
a
it?
little bit, but it's not as bad. But I was like, man, that was horrible. Jack said the 71st, the Adventurers Guild could be clued into the movements of monsters in a campaign, and this could point to a big campaign. Yeah, there could be something going on that they could be clued into. Yeah. And Iron Man says there should be rival guilds for sure. I think as long as you allow that, and that kind of guild play definitely lets it be kind of loose. Players could have NPCs at the guild hall that they particularly like and ones that they hate. Um,
And you could have different DMs running the different adventuring guilds.
you could. There's no reason not to if you wanted to go. Well,
If
leaning
you want
back
to
when we
mush
talked
the
about
first topic with the second topic,
yeah. You could say, and you could have characters in both guilds. That could be kind of fun.
Randy gives magic items. Homie, don't play that.
Oh, you're learning me, dude. You're getting it. I'm touched. You understand me deeply. Magic items are for the weak, and all my players are strong, so I don't give them magic items.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I show respect. You know, Mac is funny. He says, to be honest, I prefer, after playing for so many decades, I prefer low magic games. I can't say that I do. I guess
I like
deep
it.
down,
I like it as a start point. A start point.
I like it to begin that way. I like grimy and what did Disco Barbarians say last week? Gritty and blood or mud and blood or whatever it was called.
Mud and blood, I think is the way he called it.
I like that at low levels, but I want them to get some stuff later on. Just not till they're about 17th level. That's a good time to get a magic item.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Adventurers earn by killing the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get when DMs will say, you don't get my magic items for free. No, if you've just killed the orc that had that magic sword and you pick it up, that's not you getting it
was
for
not
free.
He did not just hand it to you.
No.
Now he might have
Especially if I
handed you.
spilled blood all over the ground.
He probably handed you the sharp, pointy end of it. Actually.
Yeah. You got stabbed for free.
Jack the 71st says magic items could be rented or bought from the guild. Oh, I don't disagree, but I just have visions of
magic item economies are.
I don't disagree. The guild could be a special place in the world where they have a few magic items. They can say, this is a guild magic item, this level of a challenge, we're going to rent out to you. You know, you can take this ring +1, but if you come back, you have to return it. Or maybe we have a special magical marker on it that if you die, we'll try to get it.
Elle just laid down some truth here.
That's fact,
Joe,
dude. He's not wrong.
Yeah, Joe, you change games so often. You are always at start points. Yes. Make Randy play one game long term. You might finally get a magic item. Yes. Well,
I agree.
There's a little bit of something on both sides. We've had games peter out because of inconsistent attendance.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem is for us right now, my biggest issue, and these posers here tell me about Call of Cthulhu while you were gone, and I think I'm going to buy the starter set and play it for my Minders game.
You know, that could totally solve your issue with not giving anything to the players except curse stuff.
Correct, and basically players would die because you can't fight the stuff that's in Cthulhu.
So you play your Cthulhu thing on the side, you get that, part of you satisfied, and then the regular game, the actual real game, you could be an actual regular DM and hand out treasure appropriate for the challenge that you have overcome.
It's okay, Elle.
At least at times. At least at times.
He says he's just razzing me. It's all good. We haven't had a consistent campaign in quite a while. The Minders game has been most consistent for me. OSC.
And different situations call for different things. Like your Minders campaign, there's no way you can expect to have treasure you haul home because you're jumping out and jumping back.
Well,
and there might be exceptions, but
we have a way to actually bring some items from a dimension back to the home world from another place, an Elseworlds, but it's usually done at the behest of the NPC quest giver. So
right. But it's not something you do all the time.
Max says, did you just say that? Hold on. Max said, Joe, did you just say that COC was not a real game, Call of Cthulhu?
No,
No, he did not.
no. I'm saying if Randy ran it, he could use it to satisfy his itch for never giving stuff away. But the
Yeah.
actual real game that we play, that
Mhm.
the rest of us are like, we can't wait to play, because Call of Cthulhu will be like one shots every once in a while.
I just can't imagine. I mean, even though I might enjoy it, I
Or
can't even
very
envision.
short stints, like
It's
2
hard
or
to
3 sessions.
it's hard to even envision a campaign. Yeah, he doesn't. Don't take it personal, Mac. Mac likes. He's deducting points, I think, for saying real game. That's funny.
Call of Cthulhu is a real game, but it's not what we normally do.
No, it doesn't strike me as a campaignable game, but some folks have done it. Darth says I would have the guild, back to our guild subject, have an enchanter that can make magic items, but he requires the PCs to supply the materials and pay him for his time. That would help keep magic items in check. Yeah, especially if you're running a 3-5 game. You could do it. Yeah.
Max says, I just can't even.
He can't. Can you odd? Can you odd? If you can't even, can you odd? But I think the Adventure Guild is a good. I don't see too many drawbacks to the Adventure Guild style campaign. I feel like as long as the DM's putting the time in and thinking about things beyond just quest giver, go do this, quest giver,
Right,
go
right,
do this.
right.
But that's danger. There's danger of that in quote unquote a regular campaign. Oh no, Killraven says, if you want to run a fun campaign in Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, get the Pulp book. Makes the PCs much more survivable. No, that book doesn't exist. I don't even want that.
Randy doesn't want that.
I don't even want to think about it. In fact, I'm going to call Chaosium and say, stop publishing that book.
Randy wants the edition of the game where they're less capable, not more.
Right. I'm a genius.
Maybe Call of Cthulhu, but you're babies.
Call of Cthulhu, but you're 4-year-olds.
Yeah. But what you're really doing in that game is you're just sitting in a group waiting to be eaten by Cthulhu.
Just a line. Really, it's just a conga line.
Line.
Jack the 71st, this is Joe's favorite. You can have the guild help to place hirelings. Yeah. If you're running old school, absolutely.
Sure. Make sure you have that helm of alignment detection handy.
Oh, no. Dice Tales claims you have good keeper. You can run a campaign. Yeah, I won't argue with you, buddy. I just don't see it. But then again, to be fair, I played in it once, had a great time, but I just couldn't imagine playing 6 months. But maybe you can. So,
sure. Lots of people have Call of Cthulhu campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on how depressed you want to get.
I think it's just my brain may not be wired for that. Who knows? We'll see. I know I can do a one shot. So, all right. Well, man, I think that's probably about all I wanted to say about adventuring guilds. You got any more comments on them?
Yeah, I'm going to say with adventuring guilds, it doesn't. You don't. I guess you could make it the entirety of your campaign is revolving around or within an adventuring guild, but it can just be an aspect of your overall campaign, especially if you want to avoid some of the things that Randy is pointing out here, being predictable, video gaming with, you always have someone you can get a quest from and stuff like that.
Or buy a magic item. I mean, it would be, now I would say this, Joe, it would be a good way to handle the magic items shop in a Pathfinder 3.5 game where guilds control the magic item flow in towns.
And that way, the DM has a great excuse for availability.
Correct.
Right.
You can't just buy crap. Right.
You could have, I've in listening to some things, you could have full members of guilds or partial members, like or introductory members. You have different level of membership, and then you can base availability of magic items on that. So not just your level, but you're just how good are you with the guild itself. And then that's a good control on the magic items that Randy likes to have anyway.
Yep. Elle says, why not the players play multiple parties in the same guild under different DMs? Yeah, Joe had mentioned something like that for other guilds, I think, but it could be the same guild. Yeah. And Dice Tales, I think Dice Tales says, if you want adventuring guilds, do a West Marches campaign. That would absolutely dovetail nicely into a West Marches game. No problem at all. Yep. for sure. I think it could be a part of the campaign. I think the players could start out. Yeah, here you go. Our man's got the titles we were looking for. Guilds could be cool to have: apprentices, journeyman, master, magi
Yeah.
level, the high ranking like elect. Aren't electricians? Are they not considered gilded? But they have those kind of rankings, right?
Well, they do call them guilds. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure,
do they? Okay, I don't know.
but
Okay.
they use that kind of language.
Yeah, like a journeyman
Yeah.
electrician, a master electrician. They get paid more money and
They're,
things like that.
I think they're more properly known as unions, but 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 they do call some of their organizations guilds.
Okay. All right. Um, all right. Well, shall we dovetail toward the end here with the remind people of Big Geek Con 2?
Yes, Big Geek Con 2 is available. Tickets for Big Geek Con 2 are available for purchase at let's see, tabletop.games. I'm going to go ahead and find that.
Yeah.
I'll place it in the chat, and I will make sure it is also in the description. I've had to restart my computer so many times today. I don't have it up at the moment, but it will only take me a moment to resolve that. Here we go. Delete.
Now let's see.
Control
Max
C.
says at Randy, you could run a Gothic era or Victorian era COC. Yeah, I've run a Victorian era Monster Hunters called Rippers for Savage Worlds. It's got that kind of feel. Larry Elliott says get your tickets early before they sell out. We're going to shoot for 60. So
Yeah,
not that but we wouldn't necessarily turn people away till it got really way past 60.
right. If it got to 60,
right, real quick, we'd be like, okay, we got to think
we
about
could
this.
maybe open it up some because it's not set in stone.
I need to talk to some of our friends what games they're willing to run at Big Geek Con. I'm planning on running 2 or 3. I've got to run. I believe I'm committed to run Dungeons and Delvers, and I'm leaning toward Horde Wars, but it may be something else, and I may run one more. I tell you, if I can sit down and do it, I've been a little inspired to write my sequel to my module. So, yeah, there it is. There it is, baby.
So you're not in the chat, but you're watching. Here is the information. I should go ahead and put that in the description right now.
Can I put something over it? Can I put something over that real quick? Mac had something funny to say.
Sure.
Okay. Mac said, he said, I might buy 20 and scalp them. Better hurry, folks. My wallet's getting itchy. Do it, Mac. Scalp those guys. Don't do it, Mac. You may not be able to sell them. Dude, if we get 40, 50 people like last time, I'm going to be happy as a pig in slop. Absolutely, we will, Martinson.
So the link is now in the video description.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know I think it was Mac on Discord asked me if I had a map of the region in my module. I'm like, I don't. And I was like, I've been thinking about that. I've got a couple adventuring spots from when we ran that short campaign. I'm thinking of turning part of that one you guys ran into, I don't want to talk about it here, into the adventure. And I've got a few places we've added up, because you guys made it to like 4th level in that OSC game, didn't you? Some of you guys were 4th level when we quit. Yeah. Yeah. To my module, Doodle Squatch, you can find my module at Big Geek Emporium. I will tell you the title. It's called Tragedy at Tygon's Falls. I have sent out a physical copy to Mac Thompson. You have to buy that directly from me, but you can get the PDF for like $5 at Big Geek Emporium. That's where you will find it. And it's an OSE, OSR adjacent module. You'll recognize all the stats if you play any of the old school TSR earlier games. There's nothing too fancy as far as the stats go, though it is ascending armor class. Because I don't, it's not that I don't like Thaco. I just don't have the time for that.
Yeah, sorry, my wife was giving me instructions. I had to listen to.
Yeah. Iron Man says he listened to the review of my module on Nerd Cognito today. Yeah, that was pretty kind to me. They had some, things they would have had differently, and that's okay. That's fair. Like I told them to, blast me if they had to. That's the only way I'm going to learn. So I'll take some of their points, and if I don't want to change it, I won't. If I do, I will. So I want to write a second one. I think I see there's at least 2 adventures that need to come after this, and it could be more because there's room for higher level play in this. So the next one might be for like 4th to 6th level or 5th to 7th level characters. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to do some leg work in between. And if I wrote the region out, I ought to do it like what was that adventure? Was it White Plume Mountain that had I can't do the cool map. Maybe Patrick could. And like it said, here there be dragons. And they had this other comment. Remember they had a cool map, and it was was that White Plume where they said, here there be dragons. And there's a funny little name. I can't remember, but I ought to do that and just drop hints of some interesting places and let DMs decide what's there and just run my adventure in one area. So, because I've got a region roughly outlined and what I think is in this place, a place called the Hungry Crags and the Drench. And so Joe's been there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Going to watch Super Bowl this weekend? Joseph?
Probably. Only if probably not.
Probably not.
I haven't been keeping up with the football, so.
Nah, yeah, I'm going to watch it probably. It's the Chiefs and the Niners. We'll see.
I had meant to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Because I haven't kept up with it. I didn't even know that
I am not having a party.
Was this weekend.
I'm going to one. I will tell you off air who's having it, and they probably would consider allowing you and your lovely wife to join us, and they would probably appreciate it if you attended. So I will let you know after. I was going to have one if no one else. Deb suggested I have a party if no one else did. I'm kind of getting back into football. The Lions' success kind of got me kind of miss it. And I watched a few games. Like I still kind of like it, even though it's weak sauce compared to the 80s and 90s football. But
are they still doing weird things on their uniforms and in the?
I haven't seen so much of that, but I mean, they would if the right stupid thing came about. Yeah. Elle says the Taylor Bowl. Taylor Swift's dating Travis Kelce of the Chiefs, and there's all manner of things, rumors running about. I'm just like, whatever. I don't care. She can date him or not. I don't give a two craps about that. I want to watch the game. And I probably won't watch the halftime show anymore. The last few have been just complete garbage. So.
All downhill since Prince, huh?
Prince was by far the best in the last that I can remember. I remember when the he's dead now. Who's blonde guy? He was actually from Indianapolis originally, I think. Tom Petty.
Oh,
in the Heartbreakers. He did one year and it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Is that true, El? That Bud Light's that sounds right. I mean, Travis Kelce he's a Pfizer guy. He's a jab dude. So he's done a Bud Light commercial. Yeah, Mac, I feel you, dude. They started kneeling. I stopped watching, but they're sucking me back in, dude. They're sucking me back in. Not enough to pay for it, but I might watch a few games next year. I love football, even as not as tough as it used to be. I mean, quarterbacks get to do whatever they want. So anyway, I'm sorry about that. So let's get out of here. What say we get out of here?
Sounds good.
All right. So you can check all the links in the show notes. Joe will provide them. And thanks for all the chats, man. You guys were throwing stuff at us faster than we can keep track of it tonight.
I was trying to read, so I got a little distracted by trying to keep up.
Thank you. We like it. I like when they say stuff, even if they don't always agree with me and they agree with Joe, which is really wrong. But anyway, what's that? Randy, if you were hooking up with Taylor Swift, wouldn't you be in favor? No, I would not. I know you're making a joke, but first of all, I wouldn't hook up with her. I know you're making a joke. I get it. Second of all, no. But I get it. I get you're saying that pokes and jabs. That's a double entendre.
Might have multiple meanings.
I find Taylor Swift, honestly, not attractive. She is skin and bones as far as I can tell. So good night, everybody. We will see you all very soon. Larry says he'll see us Friday night because we got our game online with Horde Wars.
Yes. Good night. Thanks for coming by.
Yep.
We had a great crowd. We got almost to 30.
Cool. Well, man, this is Randy.
This is Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.